Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to carry on with our tutorial by doing our yellow wash. This is the next step after all of our mottling is done and it's cooked on. You have to do the test where you try to rub it off, and if it's sealed good, it won't rub off at all. So now we're ready to move on to our next step. For this step, I'm doing a yellow wash, and this will help warm up the vinyl. If you can compare this little kit to my skin, I have a little more yellow in my skin than is present in this kit, and so we're going to try to add some warmth to it and provide some of that yellow undertones. So for this, I made a combination of the yellow Genesis yellow and kind of a yellow ochre color to make this kind of a mustardy yellow color. We're going to use 2 sponges for this, and these are the Wonder Wedges sponges. We're going to use one to put it on with and one to mop up any excess. We don't want this dripping or dropping anywhere because it will make little puddles in the creases and look like rubbish, so we're going to avoid that. Always use a wedge underneath a part of your jar to help put the pooling on one side so you can have access to the area you need. As you put this on, you'll see immediately the warmth that it provides. Before, after, it looks pretty amazing. We're going to blend this in. We don't want it too thick. Blend that down so that it blends right into everything around it, so it's not just a solid line cut off. Redip as you need to. You have to be careful with this layer. If it's too thick, your baby will go from normal to Oompa Loompa in 2.4 seconds. You want it warm looking, but you don't want it orange or yellow. This one just keeps having all these funny little residual dirty bits on it. Okay, we're going to stop with half the head after I blend this part in and take the clean sponge and wipe off any excess wet. We don't want to ever wipe like this because you will wipe it completely off, and sometimes it takes all of the layers with it, so you have to be very careful about that. You won't have much coming off, but it's just enough to make it kind of a pain. It'll look gritty if you don't kind of take the excess off. And when a kit goes gritty, it's hard to ungritty it. Alright, now we're going to carry on with the front half of this little one. Now this is in pretty intense yellow, so if you're not careful and you don't blend it in good, it really can give your baby a crazy yellow look. You see how that's interacted with all of the layers underneath? The purple's gone kind of a brown color, the blue's kind of gone to the sunken in depth, the red is turned more fleshy color. It's a really amazing layer, and a lot of people miss this layer, and it just doesn't let your babies come to that much more alive level. You can see this baby has half a face done and half a face not done. You can kind of tell which side looks more real and more alive than the other. I don't mind if this one gets on the lips. It'll just add that much more depth to the lips. Up here there's a little bit of a line, so we're going to blend that back in. And then we're going to pat it back down and blend it in good. Try not to touch your vinyl at this point because your fingerprints can take the paint off, and then you'll leave funny little marks all over your baby. So use the neck ring and the flange of the arms and the legs to keep it safe. Now we're going to come in with my yellow blending only yellow. I only ever touch yellow with this brush. And we're going to get those little tiny creases and cracks that we don't want any pooling in. Okay, so our head is done. We're going to set it aside, and when it's dry, you won't see any of this shine anymore. And then we'll cook that layer on. We'll go on to the limbs, the same thing. A tip that I've always just done is you start with your feet, so that way you can hold on to the top part of your leg better. If you start at the flange area, then your leg is kind of flopping about when you're getting down to the toes and the feet area. Now we have these little darker marks, and those will just blend right into the layers when we get up to build up to the scratches and the little top marks and veins and stuff. So if you have a few of those that didn't get caught through the under layers, then don't worry too much about it. They'll just kind of look like normal little marks on the baby's skin. One more little spot. This is one of my favorite layers to apply because of how it makes everything underneath of it look. It just creates so much life in your little baby. You can see them coming alive right before your eyes, and it's just really fun to watch. Okay, you'll carry on like this for all your pieces and parts, and then you'll let them dry. You can help that along by a stiff bit of paper, or put them in front of a fan to help them dry faster. And as soon as they're dry, you go ahead and cook them for their allotted time and let them cool, and then we'll be ready for our next step. All right, so I have a couple more pieces to do. So I'll come back to you when my pieces are done and cooked and we're ready for the next step.